I'm Cassidy Nicholas, and today we're gonna go over the kettlebell swing. First, I'm gonna do a brief-ish demo, but then I'm gonna teach you the swing by going over common errors and giving you the corrective cues to fix them. I can't teach you a swing without first teaching you how to start it or how to pick it up. We're gonna take a step back from our bell so that our bell and our feet form a triangle. When we're in a deep hip hinge, our eyes should be over the horns, and that's just how we want to start. A hip hinge, hips back, right? Open up, booty cheeks to the wall behind you, but then a deep hip hinge. So I want you to get a little bit lower in order to meet the bell. Now we're gonna break the bell, all 10 fingers around the horns, and break it as if you were trying to break a twig, and that will, boom, put your elbow pits forward, and it'll lock and load your lats and shoulders. So tilt back, break the bell, drop the hips, and then tilt back and just pull a little bit of tension before you start your swing. Now from here, I'm going to pull it high to the crotch, so hike it like a football, and I'm going to explosively and aggressively come to standing. At the top of my swing, I have long arms, just softly bent elbows, shoulders are locked and loaded, but everything else is loosey-goosey. The bell should be totally weightless at this point, out from the shoulders. From here, I'm gonna be patient, wait for it to drop, keep it high up toward the crotch, and load and explode into that next rep. Check it out. Stay really grounded in your feet and use that quick, short, powerful exhale. Now, what can go wrong? A lot of things, and these are the most common errors that I see. Number one error I see, doing kettlebell swings when you're not ready. If it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. Not everyone can just pick up a bell off the street and start swinging it. Because of the nature of the exercise, it's really aggressive, it's really powerful. That takes training, that takes strength. So if it doesn't feel right, you're probably going too slow. You probably don't have the body mechanics or the strength to keep this bell in succession doing these explosive reps. So what do? Strength train, basic movements, squats and deadlifts until you feel confident enough to pick up a bell that's, say, 25% of your body weight. That brings me to my next common error, which would be going too light. A kettlebell swing is not a movement that you can practice light and then work your way up like a lot of strength movements. In this movement, we need a bell heavy enough that we feel the necessity for this powerful hip extension. So if you can raise the bell with your arms, it is definitely too light. This is a lower body movement, not an upper body movement. The next common mistake I see is the bell swinging too low. So if the bell is swinging low, there's gonna be a lot of things that are going wrong and a lot of injuries that can happen. Check this out. There should be no space between my arms and my crotch. The bell should be all up in your business, as I like to say, on the backswing. The reason this happens, for the most part, is because you're sending your hips back before the bell. Check it out. So if my bell's at the top and I send my hips back, the bell's gonna follow and swing too low. Instead, I'm gonna be super patient, wait for the bell to drop, and almost think about it as a clotheslining of your hips. So patient, hips follow. Next common mistake would be shoving your hips forward at the top. So I see this a lot, almost humping the bell here. You know you're doing this if A, your back hurts, and B, your knees are bent. Okay, so if you end with straight knees, you can usually eliminate this issue. Just don't hyperextend your knees. So we want what I call a gentle lockout at the top. A lot of coaches cue hips back, hips forward. The reason I don't like to use that cue is because that's what people do. They go hips back, hips forward. Instead, I like to think about the standing portion as replacing your knees and hips over your ankles. I also like to think about it as straight as a pin at the top. So as if you're a puppet and somebody's pulling on the string, that's how tall you should be at the top of your swing. Next common error is too much squatting. So this is a hinge pattern, not a squat pattern. Let's review. A hinge is a one joint movement where the hips go back and the knees will bend as a result of that. A squat is a two joint movement where your knees and hips are intentionally descending and bending at the same time. So we do want a hip hinge, not a squat. However, the next common mistake is not squatting enough. Or to put it better, not getting into a deep enough hinge. So what I see is the pendulum swings. People learn, oh, I'm not supposed to squat. I'm supposed to hinge, 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 hinge. And it turns into this RDL, or like stiff-legged swing, where you're not bending your knees at all. Nothing terribly wrong with that. However, could put a ton of torque on the lower spine. And more importantly, we're not using our biggest asset we have, which is our glutes. So check it out. Here is a hinge, a pretty Romanian deadlift type situation, or stiff leg deadlift. What we want to do is get into a deep hinge. So you're allowed to bend your knees in a hinge. I give you permission. So check that out. Lengthens my glutes, and I get to use my glutes, which adds a lot of power to my swing. Last common error for today should have been the first, because this is actually what I see the most often. It's keeping your eyes up when the bell is going down. So it would look something like this. This causes a lot of problems. So check it out. When I'm in this position, my neck and my spine aren't neutrally aligned. Okay, that's not good. But look at what it does to my rib cage and my spine. I'm all puffed out. I can't keep my ribs in. It makes my booty twerk out a little bit too much. So when your eyes go down, a few things can happen. Neck and spine stay neutrally aligned, cool. My ribs are not flared, cool. I could keep more of a neutral spine in general, cool. But another issue that eyes up causes is you can't get into that deep hinge that I talked about. So you're probably going to do a more shallow hinge, as opposed to if your eyes go down, you could get into a deeper hinge and therefore be a lot more powerful. If this helped you out, like and subscribe. See you on the next one.